I'm Andrew Thomas, publishing editor of Communicate magazine. We're at the Elwood Attfield Gallery talking about the do's and don'ts of awards. I'm joined by Steph Brown from On Point Marketing, and now we're going to focus on the don'ts. What should we be avoiding when it comes to the awards process? Let's have a look at categories first, Steph.
I think the main thing to, or not to do, is don't ignore the category criteria and entry requirements. Basically, if you don't fill in the form as you are asked to do, then there is a very real risk that you will be eliminated out of the running.
What else on the content side of things?
I think the other thing that people spend a lot of time doing, which they should avoid, is writing very long, flowery descriptions about the solution, the creative solution, if you will. Effectiveness awards are all about proving that the work that you've done has worked, and that's what the judges are interested in. Visuals will support the story of the solution, so you don't have to spend a lot of time writing about the solution.
Okay, and what about the design? Are there things that we shouldn't be looking at, shouldn't be including?
I think that one of the things, it's more about what they should include. In the results section, don't be afraid to make that section sing visually. So flagging up in some way, design-wise, the great metrics that you have. Don't be afraid. I mean, the British are always a little bit afraid of shouting too loudly about themselves, but in this context with awards entries, shout as loud as you can and highlight, big yourself up in terms of the results.
Okay, let's stick with results. Evaluation. Obviously, we know we need to include some form of metric there, but what shouldn't we be doing in that area?
The biggest thing that I've seen as a problem is not linking the results back to the original objectives that you set at the beginning of the document. So don't do that. The other thing that I would say is sometimes you can get, you might come across an impressive result, but it actually has no relevance to the entry that you're writing. So don't shoehorn impressive statistics into your entry if they don't actually have relevance to the entry itself. And finally, the other thing that I would say is don't only use anecdotal evidence. Have a combination of hard data and anecdotal evidence.
Okay. Finally, let's just have a little look at the language that people use. Any tips on what to avoid there?
I think the main thing is to keep your language as simple and forthright as possible and to avoid jargon at all costs. This is mostly because you might end up using, if you're an agency, you might end up using your own agency world's jargon, which some of the judges may not understand because they come from the client side, or they may misinterpret. If you're on the client side and you're writing an entry, you might end up using jargon which is specific to your own particular industry, and therefore the judges who don't work in your industry may not be familiar with it. So you do yourself a disservice if you use jargon. As I said earlier, don't be afraid to celebrate the great results and use, language that does celebrate the great results.
Okay, fantastic. Some great tips there on what we should be avoiding when it comes to awards and award submissions. Thanks very much, Steph.